Are you fascinated by the paranormal and want to hear about encounters that have happened to real-life people in real-life places? Do you need a drink to calm those nerves after hearing some scary stories?
You're listening to Booze and Bourbon.
Well, we invite you to grab a drink, whether it's a coffee or something with a little bit more spirit in it. Grab a blanket, snuggle in, because I'm Kim and that's Jen, and we're Booze and Bourbon.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Booze and Bourbon. I'm Jean-Pierre, and this is Kimberly.
Jen.
I don't know what accent that was, but it came out kind of Australian and not really. So yeah,
I missed you tremendously, and
I had major FOMO. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it's funny because when you go ghost hunting without me, I have FOMO. And so then there was the podcast FOMO. And then do you want to tell me a little bit about your FOMO that you might have had last week?
Well, you were ghost hunting without me.
I know, it sucks.
So that was major FOMO. But it's okay because we'll be together very soon, next week. So we're good.
We'll be reunited in a super cool spot that I'm very, very excited about. So that will be good. But besides that, like, how have you been? I know it's been crazy for you and it's been crazy for me, but what's going on?
You know, for the world to know, I'm just trying to finish a basement reno, which is a lot more than I anticipated. So, you know, started out with I'm just going to do the bathroom. Actually, it started out with me just going to do the floors, and then it turned into the floors and the bathroom and take down a wall and put up a new wall and make another room. So, yeah.
Wow.
So that, you know, it's a little bit more than I had initially planned.
I haven't really lived through renovations like that. Not to that extent. But everybody says that if you're living through renovations, it's hell.
Yeah. Well, luckily for me, it's like the basement's the basement. So I don't need to go down there other than to wash my clothes, which is the only tricky part because they're basically just sitting in the middle of a room right now. The washer and the dryer. So I can kind of use them for the rest of this week, I think. And then I'm going to have to probably take my clothes to my mom's because I won't be able to have them hooked up. So that will be tricky.
I get it. Yeah, that's not ideal. It's probably the biggest laundry room you've ever had in your life, though.
Yeah. All kinds of space for dance moves and singing.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, just to keep our listeners up to date, when I say that Jen and I have been busy, like we've been really busy. So we keep the podcast going. We have been filming like every week or every second week. And typically that happens like when the sun goes down. But when the sun comes up in the morning, I have to get back up and I have to work. So it's been a lot, but it's been so much fun. We actually just filmed a couple episodes. It might be one, but it might come out as two at this old mansion-y type house that actually a Stephen King movie is going to be shot in. So that's really cool.
Very cool. And I love Stephen King. So that's a very special note there.
And the house was so cool. It had so much wood in the foyer. Like I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
I almost would like to like actually rent it out like for like a little like evening with friends. Like it would be fun to just be there and not tell anybody that it's haunted, but just to be
Let
there.
Let them find out for themselves.
Yeah.
Put them in the basement.
See.
Oh my God, the basement.
Yeah. I mean, once everyone actually watches this, I'm sure you'll probably witness the fact that like I'm more scared of spiders and spider webs than I am of anything else than most of these places. So I really tried to hold it together and I just didn't do a very good job with that. So the basement, not for me. Lots of spiders, lots of webs.
Makes for good TV though, Jen.
True.
Oh, no, that was really fun. So it has been really fun. It's just been a lot of work and I freaking love it. So we're going to share with you guys today what kind of equipment we feel that if you're a beginner ghost hunter, what you should sort of gravitate towards. And I mean, people who are just starting to ghost hunt, or if you really want to start looking at ghost hunting, you've probably got a budget. So being the type of girl I am, and I love a good deal, and I love cruising the clearance racks as well, we're going to hook you up with like, budget friendly ghost hunting kit.
Absolutely.
All right. So Jen, I don't know if you've got we're not together today, unfortunately, but I don't know if you've got a bourbon over there, but I've got one that I really want to talk about in front of me here.
I have to admit that I've actually gone through 2 bottles of bourbon, and now I'm down to 3 very sparse looking bottles. So today I am having a glass of red wine instead because I need to go to the liquor store and vamp it back up over here because I don't want to use what I have left because I know we can't buy them here. So I need to refrain from drinking the rest of those.
Yes. Okay.
But please,
all right.
please share yours.
Well, the last time you were at the house, you got to try some really delicious ones.
Yes, I did.
So this one I'm not going to keep from you either. This one is called High West Whiskey, and it's the American Prairie Bourbon. I have been looking for this one for a while. Every time we go down to the States, I'm like, we need to bring this back, but it always gets like pushed to the side. It's like, no, there's this one, and we got to bring this one back. So, I've been on the hunt, and just so happened it was in New Brunswick.
Ooh.
So got a bottle of it. I'm going to do a little cork pop here for you. It has a really nice wooden top on it, which is kind of fancy. And it has, I don't know, like a gazelle or something on the front. Not entirely sure. But let's see what we got in here for a cork pop.
It had a little echo to it, though. It had a little echo. It's all right.
Let me tell you a little bit about this other than my infatuation with wanting to get the bottle and the bottle. It was founded in 2007. And it went the route of many small distilleries and created a line of unaged spirits and, most notably, blending and bottling whiskey from other distillers to help tide them over financially while they were working on their own whiskey. So this particular bourbon is a blend of LDI, which I found out is Lawrenceburg Distillers, Indiana, and I feel like there needs to be a drum roll here, but Four Roses.
Very exciting.
It is. So the LDI is a 6-year bourbon, and the mash bill on it is 75% corn, 20% rye, and 5% barley. And the Four Roses is a 10-year-old bourbon made up of 60% corn, 35% rye, and 5% barley. And I'm just going to say the 10-year-old Four Roses is enough to want to give this bottle a little go. So the alcohol by volume on this one is 46%. We have batch number 20B07. So the color is definitely a dark caramel. And when you smell it, you definitely smell a lot of like, I want to say like the rye and the barley. Mm-hmm. Not so much corn forward, but it is. And then when you taste it, it's super sweet upon the first sip. And I get definitely heavy caramel, but it's so sweet that it almost reminds me of marshmallow or like a toasted marshmallow. So just let me give it a little sip just to make sure I'm not lying to you.
I'm very jealous of the sip right now because the high rye content there is really making me feel like I probably would like it a lot.
Yes, I feel that you would. It almost has an astringent kind of like dancing on your tongue, not so super spicy on your tongue, but it does have, spiciness and toastiness, and it's got a solid finish to it. So yeah, I think you'll like this one too. It warms the bourbon pocket nicely, Jen.
Well, can't wait to try that one then. But hey, now that your bourbon pocket's warm,
yep,
maybe we should play a game.
Yeah, let's do it. Would you rather?
Shall I go first or shall you?
I feel like you're ready. I feel like you need to go.
Well, I was kind of laughing to myself when I was thinking about this and what we were going to be discussing. So,
ooh, okay.
It's going to be very offside, but would you rather have a vibrator that occasionally just turns on by itself and at the same time as making the noise that normally does. It spits out random words in a very like T-Pain type of voice.
Like auto-tune?
That's what I was trying to say, auto-tune. But I'm like, T-Pain's the only one I can think of. So it could be the middle of the night and all of a sudden your drawer starts vibrating and then it starts saying random words. Spooky, yes, because it is a spirit coming through, but it's also on your vibrator. So it's...
Wow. Okay.
Yes. And option 2, would you rather then have the latest rage, which is spiritual water talking. So you go to use the bathroom and the toilet water splashes to answer you yes and or no questions that you're not even asking. So it's a spirit in the toilet that is just catching you off guard, really. And then when you address it, it will then answer questions by splashing you again.
Oh, see, the thing that gets me about the toilet water phenomenon that you're so speaking about,
Yes.
I feel like it wouldn't care if the toilet water was like dirty toilet water. So I wouldn't want that splashing on me.
Touche.
So in that case, I'm going to have to go with the random voice, auto-tune voice of a vibrator.
I like that
Which
option much
is-
better. I feel like it's very entertaining.
It's hilarious. Like, it's not even scary. It's just hilarious. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, Jen, you get an A+++ for creativity on that one.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so mine is not like yours. It has to do with ghost hunting. So imagine you were that person that had to go in an extremely dark closet, basement, or attic all by yourself, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you encounter one of two things. Would you rather the encounter be something that you don't see, but when your hand is outstretched, you feel a massive patch of curly chest hair? Or when your hand is outstretched, you feel a clammy, damp, cold hand?
Oh, man. I mean, I really don't like body hair of any sort, chest hair especially.
Right? But you like a damp clam.
Sure love a damp clam, though. Definitely on my list of things that I enjoy is a damp clam. So I'm definitely going to pass up the old chest hair there for the damp clam.
Well, it's a good foregoing experience. Thanks for participating, Jen.
No problem. That's also an E for effort there on that one with the creativity as well.
Oh, you are so welcome. All right, guys, now that we've finished that and you're probably ready to puke, it's about time for a break. So just after the break, we're going to get into today's main story, which is a beginner's guide to ghost hunting equipment. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, everybody, and let's get into some exciting and revelating tips on how to become a beginner ghost hunter like the rest of us here.
It is Festivus for the rest of us crazy peeps out there. We have been very slowly adding to our own ghost hunting equipment lineup, but thankfully now we have some audio recorders. We always had one, but now we have two. We now have a K2 meter. We've got a camera. What else do we have, Jen?
Yeah, pendulum. I don't have one that's attached to a chain, which it's supposed to be, obviously. I need to do that, so that would be helpful. But other than that, I mean...
Your dog is going nuts.
I know, I'm like, I need to go yell at him, but I can't, so we're just gonna let him bark it out for a second.
It sounds like he's done.
He might be done. He was alerting of us of a ghost on the street or possibly my weird neighbor.
You have a weird neighbor?
Yeah, he's super, the super weirdo guy that kind of lives beside me here. Not like directly beside me, but he just, he tends to, his lack of clothing some days is a little scary. You know, when you see those people at the beach in the Speedos that like shouldn't wear a Speedo.
Yeah.
So he likes to wear shorts that are similar to a Speedo to wash his car. There's a lot of bending action going on, so that's disturbing. And tends to get angry and then yell to himself. I'm not sure if he's yelling at himself, but he likes to like mumble yell almost while he's out there some days. And then I'm like, well, maybe he's talking to somebody. But then I realize, no, there's no one else out there. His wife's inside. He's just mumble yelling to himself. So
wow.
He also got mad at the person beside him because when they mowed their lawn, the grass obviously that was cut had like kind of blew over on his driveway. And he demanded that they go out and sweep it back onto their lawn. So, yeah. Speedo Man has a lot of time on his hands. So, that's what I've gathered.
Okay, back to our story. So I thought it'd be very important to give some information on some very effective methods to ghost hunting or paranormal investigating, if you will. So we're going to be here today to share with you some of the more budget-friendly ghost hunting equipment that you'll see out there, but to also share the more budget-friendly, unconventional equipment that's out there too. Of course, if going out and investigating ghosts is your jam. So the truth of the matter is you really don't need a whole lot. The gear is cool, so don't get me wrong on that. But if you're looking to dabble in this as a hobby, then you may not want to hear this, but you probably don't need all of the same gear that Ghost Adventures use. I mean, I know it's really cool to be like your own Zach Baggins and stuff, but you really don't need all that stuff. So it's commonly accepted that ghosts tend to manifest themselves at night. There's a great deal of speculation as to why this is, but there's a popular theory out there that states that ghosts and other paranormal entities feed off of our energy and perhaps even our psychic energy. And the theory deepens to this: when we're awake, our minds are occupied with life and the hectic, crazy schedules that we usually have. But at night, when we're asleep and our minds are less distracted and our defenses are down, they have access to our mental energy. Plus, like I've been mentioning before, it makes for good TV when it's done at night. So the fact of the matter is, if there's a ghost occupying a building, then it will likely still be there during broad daylight. Maybe it just doesn't have the best connection with the person who's trying to communicate with it.
Okay, so the list, in no specific order, and only suggested by us, is as follows. A handheld flashlight. Get a good one. This is a must-have basically a must-have it always, but in your back pocket especially, or probably in your hand because you're probably going to want to use it.
Yep.
Because no one likes to be in the dark ghost hunting.
No.
Where people typically ghost hunt at night, you're going to want to see where you're going. That as well. Kind of an insurance issue. And if you see something scatter off in the corner of your eye or makes a sound and you can't see what it is, you're going to want the security blanket feel of a good trusty flashlight. Change out those batteries often too, because you just never know if a ghostly apparition or spirit, whatever, wants to drain the battery right out of that flashlight. And trust me, it has happened many times.
I know. It's super creepy when it happens. And it's like, oh no, somebody just forgot to change out the batteries in the flashlight. And then I start thinking about it and I'm like, nope, definitely saw Holly change all those batteries just like an hour ago. So That's weird.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not even like it might just shut off altogether, or other times it just slowly fades out, which is just as creepy.
Yeah, I don't know what's worse. All right, so good advice there, Jen, with the handheld flashlight. Okay, so another handheld device that's really good is an audio recorder. So these are really good for capturing EVPs, which are electronic voice phenomenon. And the beauty of this is that it tends to pick up more sound than you realize it does. So you'll play this back after you've, asked a series of questions, and you can very often hear things off in the distance or things that you hadn't heard with like your naked ear. The other great thing about this is it timestamps your recording session, so you can go back to a certain time or date. So say you know that at like 11:30 p.m. on Friday night, you heard something that was really strange, or maybe the batteries died in your flashlight. You can go back to your audio recording to that same time and figure out if you heard anything happen on the voice recorder. So the other cool thing with this is you can easily plug it into your computer and download all of the audio files, and it downloads into an MP3 format. So you can upload it to like an editing software or whatever. And one thing to keep in mind, though, is that you need to be able to identify what the strange noise was that you heard, because very often it could be like you sighing like a and that could be like misconstrued to Spirit's voice being like or whatever. And then also if you like are outside in the woods, you might have heard an animal rustling in the woods. So you really have to identify what that noise was. And if it doesn't make sense, then it's unexplained. And if it's unexplained, then it's probably something paranormal.
So I've got a good one here too, which we've actually recently used. And it was really cool. And I hadn't used one prior. I'd always heard about them because of my aunt. She's very into, I don't even know how you would describe it, into like tarot card readings, and like she goes to see mediums quite often, and she goes to see like spiritual healers, and they all use pendulums a lot, not just necessarily for paranormal, but for like energy readings, and she does those often. So she has a couple of her own that she uses. When she does use hers, she is trying to communicate, I would assume, with my grandmother, which would be her mom.
Right.
Or her dad, which would have been my grandfather, and whomever else she might have lost, but she's been using them for a bit now, so I feel like she's pretty well practiced with it, and
she's kind of like honed her craft per se.
Yes. And she was very big on how you like choose it for yourself if you go get one, like just the little tips on like, you know, what you feel from it when you hold it and that kind of thing. That's how you would choose which crystal is for you or that kind of thing. So it was kind of interesting. And she listens to the podcast, and she had brought it up to me not that long ago. So she was just explaining how she had gone for like a session with the person she always sees, and they were doing like an energy reading, and those are fairly similar in the sense of how it works, but like it's obviously they're trying to pick up something different than spirits. But yeah, it was pretty cool how she explained it. And yeah, I love it.
I love it.
I need to get one myself and try it out.
You do. So just like all of our listeners that want to know more about this and how to get one, I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty details. So the pendulum is quite a simplistic way of communicating with spirit. All you require is a dowsing pendulum, which is essentially a crystal or a semi-precious stone that has a small chain attached to it. Like you said earlier, Jen, you need to attach yours to a chain. So it's usually a cone shape or has a pointed end so that it can equally be balanced when it's swayed by the chain. And not like a Ouija board or a spirit box, or even with automatic writing, where you typically ask any type of question. With a pendulum, you have to be able to be prepared to ask only yes or no questions. So you need to have a strong sense of what you want to know and plan ahead to ask these types of questions. So apparently when you're going to an occult type shop or a shop that you'd be able to purchase a pendulum at, you choose one that, like what you said, speaks to you and the one that draws you in. So the tips that you provided here, Jen, say that you should run your hand over the pendulums to see if any engages in any kind of physical response in your hand, such as a warmth or tingling in your palm. But if you're buying a crystal from the internet that you can't have direct connection with, the correct one will be chosen when you have some sort of physical response just by viewing it. And this is where you need to be really aware of your own body, as the connection will come more subtly, such as like a deeper breath or a slight reluctance to move on to the next one or just scroll down the page. So alternatively, if you have no physical responses, then I would suggest you go with a particular shape, symbol, or crystal that resonates with you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can tell you that when I went to the crystal shop and I picked out mine, I was totally drawn to the one that I ended up buying. Like there were no other ones in my mind that could ever match, because I was like, oh, there's little gemstones to represent the different chakras, and I have my level 1 Reiki, so that was something to me. And then I also just absolutely love rose quartz. So the pendulum pointed end is rose quartz, and I was like, I just feel like this is meant to be mine. It's just me.
Don't choose the crystal chooses you.
Damn.
Right? Okay, so on to how to use this object in 3 easy steps. So step 1, hold the pendulum in your dominant hand, grasping the end of the chain and allowing the crystal to hang loose above a table. Step 2, when the pendulum is still, ask the question, what is yes? The pendulum will begin to move, and this indicates what the answer yes looks like. It may begin to swing clockwise or counterclockwise, or it may move from side to side or back and forth. Once you know what the answer yes looks like, you can begin to ask questions. If you feel stressed or uncomfortable at any time, it's recommended to stop immediately. You should always trust your intuition, and it may be an indication that there is an unfriendly spirit nearby. Not only do people get yes or no answers out of a pendulum, but it's also been known to help retrieve where a lost object is, or a body of water. This, I believe, would refer more to dowsing rods. A ring on a thread is thought to be as effective as well if you don't have a crystal pendulum, which reminds me of the old wives' tale where if there's someone who's pregnant, you can determine the gender of a baby by holding a needle and a thread above her belly, and depending on how it sways or circles depends on the gender, which is very strange.
Yeah, it is, but I've seen that too.
Yeah. I feel like I haven't done that one in a while. Like at all the many baby showers I've been to, we've really dropped that one out of the curriculum, you know?
Well, you have a lot of friends that are totally into this kind of stuff. You need to bring it on out. Next baby shower.
Bust it out. Show up with a pendulum, show up with a needle, some, you know.
They're going to be like, you're doing what? What to me? Get the needle away from my belly.
Just hang out there for a second. So then, if you want to get more knowledge about using a pendulum, there are actual courses you can take, like Pendulum Alchemy, which states this. Do you want to massively increase the success of your ghost hunting and paranormal investigations? Yes. Would you like to safely experience ghosts and unusual phenomena? Other unusual phenomena? Yes. Do you need to accurately determine the exact location and type of paranormal activity in an area for increased peace of mind and safety? Do you feel that a haunted location requires healing help? If you answered yes to any of these, this course is for you. Paranormal investigators Robin Shade and Eric Hunter, PhD, teach techniques to use the pendulum to safely experience ghost hauntings in a wide range of paranormal events.
Very interesting.
So there you go.
I wonder if they're legit.
I wonder if it's like going to like this, like the Harry Potter school.
Oh, yes. It totally sounds like it.
This is what we're learning today, guys.
And if you have a lightning bolt on your forehead, you're probably going to excel.
Exactly.
All right. So another technique is obviously using your phone. Not only can you capture video, audio, but you can also capture some fantastic video footage from your phone too. We've seen some pretty amazing pictures. I mean, I did at the last location, and sadly, Jen, you weren't there, but we saw some really cool pictures from somebody who's a local, and we were just kind of like, where did you get all of these from? So they just don't really seem to have an explanation behind it. And I know when we were growing up, digital images were non-existent. That makes us sound so old, but whatever. And literally everything was developed with film, and there always runs the problem of inconsistency when you do that. But today, there's no double exposures happening on your phone's camera, and it's likely that you've always got your phone on you and it's charged, unless your ghosty friend decides to drain the batteries on you, which has definitely happened before. So everything that you take on your phone is time and date stamped as well, so you can always go back and refer to this to line up certain weird occurrences.
Yes. So another piece of equipment that is super readily available online, ghoststop.com, is the K2 meter. So this detects electromagnetic frequency. EMF meters detect electromagnetic... EMF meters detect electromagnetic energy in the area. To understand how an EMF meter works, it helps to know one of the universe's 4 basic forces. Electromagnetism. Damn. Electromagnetism occurs when electric current changes or moves. Stronger currents give off higher EMF readings. While you cannot see electromagnetic fields, they are often present in the atmosphere from natural electrical and magnetic sources. Powered objects such as video and audio equipment, cell phones, and clock radios give off electromagnetic energy when a current flows. Likewise, power lines, outlets, and other common electrical items all generate EMF. Many natural sources of EMF exist as well, such as the changing of the atmosphere during a lightning storm. When you use the K2, you are going to want to make sure you don't have your cell phone on or close by. You're not going to want to have it close to a microphone or really anything that could give you a false reading. EMF meters are pretty simple, so there isn't much of a learning curve for how to read an EMF reader. Just turn it on. One of the most popular EMF meters for paranormal investigation, the K2 meter, has a series of lights in place of an analog or digital indicator. When there is no EMF present, no lights will be lit. There will be a 0 on the digital indicator, or the needle will be in the starting position over a reading of 0 for an analog display. When EMF is present, the display will indicate through the presence of lights, movement of the needle toward higher numbers on the display, or with a higher number reading on the digital display, which we've seen plenty of in our recent adventures.
Yeah, I feel like there's a super strong connection when we get hits on the K2 meter and they're like, all the lights are lighting up when you're asking a certain question. So that's when you kind of go back to like the pendulum kind of theory and you're like, what means yes, what means no? Mm-hmm. And I think typically when you get like a full bar of green lights and then it like gets so strong that it goes to the red light, I feel like that's a very good indication of a yes. Mm-hmm. And then maybe a no, you don't really get anything. I don't know. You're just going to have to determine when you're out there ghost hunting. Yeah, but it's pretty cool. All right. So then the next one is, a little bit more expensive, but it's a spirit box, or as some people call a ghost box, which is really a catch-all term for a device used to verbally communicate with spirits. Many of these gadgets continually scan radio frequencies, creating a din of white noise. The idea is that the spirit can use the white noise to communicate in some way, either verbally or through EVP sessions. There are numerous amounts of models of these on the market. So some record onto an SD card, which is great, but some don't, and that's fine too, just as long as you have another audio recorder going. Some have the ability of sweeping AM radio stations or FM radio stations, and some have the ability to sweep both AM and FM at once and can do a sweep forward and one in reverse, which is kind of cool. But most of them will allow you to sweep at different rates too, so that's very good, because if it's too fast, I don't know if you're really going to hear anything. Mm-hmm. And
you can miss something totally too.
Yes, good point. Totally. You could totally miss something. One of Ghost Adventure's favorite devices to use is called the Ovilus, and it's designed by Bill Chappell of Digital Dowsing. So instead of scanning radio frequencies like the Spirit Box does, the various Ovilus models generate words in response to environmental fluctuations or EMF anomalies, supposedly translating the spirit's communications into English terms. Not everybody is sold on this device. It is definitely more expensive than a Spirit Box, and it's kind of like a magic 8-ball to use in the paranormal world. But when you get a good question and a good response, it's totally worth it. So then if you follow up with another question and it keeps giving you the same types of responses, then you know you've got something solid. So sometimes they're far off, but sometimes they work. And you and I actually used the Ovilus app for the iPhone when we went out to Sherwood, the cemetery there.
And that was creepy.
That was really creepy. And like, I know that this is like a $2.49 app that you can buy on the App Store. But when we were out there, we had parked the car and it literally said park here. And we're like, what? Mm-hmm. And then we had a series of questions. We were asking about like who was there with us, and it said accident. And we later found out that there was a fatal car accident like on the other side of the road from the cemetery just like a year or two ago. And then the other thing was when we were closing the gate and we're like, thank you, spirits. Like, thanks for talking to us tonight. Have a good night. And we closed the gate. It said, come back. And you and I were so freaked out the whole drive home. It was dark. We were just like, how is this even working?
And I do feel like it's one of those things too where did you ever notice when you're like, when you've talked about something frequently, if you go to Google search it, it comes up automatically. It's like your phone already knew that you were looking for it. So it's like, I feel like that's one of those things where if you were talking about something prior to that, then maybe there's something there. Like, I guess that would be my one skepticism against it, would be like, if you were talking about something prior, then it's probably possible that it could.
When we were on the little podcast with Bill Brock there, who did some stuff at the Conjuring House, and now he's doing an upcoming live stream from the Lizzie Borden house, which is crazy. So if you guys don't know about that, Dark Zone is doing a live stream from the Lizzie Borden house, and you can go get tickets just by Googling Dark Zone, Lizzie Borden. It's going to be great. But anyway, Bill said that. He's like, you have to make sure that the app settings are on your phone so that it doesn't listen or the microphone is off. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So good point on that one.
Bow show.
And back to the Conjuring House. They used an obelisk back in May when they did their Dark Zone live stream. And it threw me off because it was one of the first times that I'd ever heard like a dark word come through on the obelisk. Mm-hmm. And it said hell. And when it said hell, it came out in this super like slowed down, dark, demonic voice, like super sinister. It was like hell. Oh. And I was like, oh my God. But I guess that's part of the programming. So whenever you get like a quote unquote dark word, that's how the voice spits out the word, which is terrifying. But if you're into that kind of thing, cool. If you like pooping your pants on a regular basis, cool.
Yeah. And then, I mean, hopefully you have like the other setup where you get like the ghost spirits talking to you through your toilet and it rinses your butt for you after you've just shit yourself.
It's like a ghost bidet.
Yes. Yes. Oh, dear. If you really want to go all out, you could get a night vision action cam. This way, you can get the real kind of ghost hunter look with the black and white. You need very little to no light at all with this type of camera. And what's kind of crazy, which we just learned about from our own adventures, is that even if you're wearing black, it can still look white. It totally depends on the fabric, I think.
I mean, in real life, I'll be like, I look so badass. I got my black ripped jeans on. I got my black sneakers. I got my black tank top. I got my black hoodie.
Yeah.
And then you get in front of like a CCTV camera or like a night vision cam and you're like, why does it look like I'm wearing white pants?
Exactly.
This is not badass at all.
And then I tested the opposite way because I did wear white pants and it almost looked gray. So then I was like, well, you know what? I give up. Who wears colors anyway on here? It's all going to look the same.
True that.
So yeah. So back to the cam thing. Like some people do use trail cams when they stick them out in the woods, like my dad. Pretty sure I shared that story a while ago. And hey, if you're looking for something terrifying, check out 12 real creepy trail cam photos you have to see. You'll see everything from skinwalkers to grim reapers, UFOs, ghosts, or fairies.
It's that one exactly that I've seen, but I've seen one of them. And there's also just like random lost kids in the woods, which is in real life quite terrifying. But there's some images that they show that it's like, is that even from Earth? Like its knees are going in the wrong direction. Yeah. It's not cute.
And I mean, some of them are very clear. So if I was the person, like if that was my dad and he was looking through it, like, that's not an animal, that's not a person, human. So you're like, wow, Don't really feel like going back there to go hunting in the dark. So cool.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Well, I guess that pretty much like concludes our list. And it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but if you really decide that you want to start ghost hunting, or if we've given you some ideas, if you're already a paranormal investigator, let us know. Maybe you didn't think a pendulum would be a really great thing to use, but it turns out it is pretty great. We have tried it. And then you probably already have a phone. So if you wanted to look at like getting all of this as a package kind of thing, on the low end, it would probably be about $500. And then the other thing to keep in mind too is like you can always go on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and maybe you can find some stuff that's used and you can get it a lot cheaper. But it's probably going to be about $500 for all of our, I don't know, like in the US, do you say bucks or do you say dollars? Because here in Canada, we say bucks. Anyway, food for thought.
Because we have so many bucks here.
So probably the most expensive thing that you would put in your ghost hunting equipment would be the camera and what spirit box that you end up choosing. But I firmly believe that if you use your intuition, if you do your research prior to arriving at the location, you're probably going to get your best bang for your buck. Doesn't cost anything to do those two things. I can vouch for having an experience with research like the third day into our investigation and it all coming together and all making sense. And I'm like, I'm kind of glad I didn't know this information before, because it's like a mind-blowing moment when I do have all of these revelations. So that's kind of cool too.
Yeah.
But whatever you do, just please remember to be careful. If you're willing to go out and do this, then you should be willing to put the extra time and effort into protecting yourself, whether it's with your faith or even, like I've said before, like this whole white light energy, like encapsulate yourself in white light. Sage is a good idea. Rosary beads are probably a good idea. But whatever it is, just make sure that you're aware that you could also bring an unexpected ghost home with you. And we do not want that for anyone, because that ain't cool.
No one likes stage 5 clinger spirits. So
does anybody like one of those on a good day, whether or not they're a spirit?
Human or not. Yeah, no one likes it.
Yeah. No, it's awful. Definitely awful. So guys, be safe. But I know that you're cool and you got this. So good luck. I want to hear about any adventures that you guys have. I want to hear about what other people's ghost hunting equipment looks like. So definitely send us an email to boozeandbourbon@gmail.com. And Jen, if people want to stalk us, where can they stalk us?
I mean, as we just said, we're not really big fans of stage 5 clingers, but I mean,
we would rather you introduce yourself first.
However, we are Insta famous, so Booze and Bourbon on Instagram, Booze and Bourbon the podcast on Facebook. You can definitely listen to us on any app that plays podcasts, which is, there's quite a few out there, but you can find us on there. And other than that, we starlet on YouTube occasionally. And
the time is counting down. I mean, we're in August right now, pretty much the middle of August. And in like another month and a half, we're going to be on our first episodes of Haunted. So,
yep. That's going to be exciting. Then you guys can see us in action and Jen be scared of spider webs. So look forward to that.
I actually can't wait for that. I miss that. So I can't wait for that. And you get to see me hanging out in an attic. And I wish that they show footage of Jen making fun of me. Like, oh my God, look at her face. She looks so scared.
There was still love there. We were just purely enjoying. I didn't know that that's what those guys did in their spare time. They just sat there and made fun of the rest of us who were, shitting ourselves in other rooms. So I got to witness it firsthand. And yeah.
Yeah, and guys, we also have a Redbubble store. So if you want to check out any of our cool merch, we have lots of Booze and Bourbon, the podcast fan merch. And we also have some fun-loving paranormal investigator stuff and some whiskey-loving socks, shirts, artwork, all that fun stuff. So if you want to check that out, Just go to Redbubble, search Booze and Bourbon, you will find it. And if you have trouble finding any of the links that we talked about, our old trusty faithful is going to our Instagram and click the link in our bio. That is our link tree. So it will give you like 7 different options on how to find us. So guys, thank you so much for joining us today on this extra long episode. We are so excited that we actually have knowledge about this stuff now. I can't believe we're actually ghost hunters, Jen. I feel like I put on my big girl panties now.
Yeah, I think it's time that we get like the badges, like the ones that like the Ghostbusters had back in the day in the movie. Like we should have an actual badge that we wear. Like it's like a patch.
I'm on it.
I'm going to find that. We should definitely find them and we should have them.
All right, guys. Well, again, thanks for listening and you'll hear an all new episode next Friday.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Booze and Bourbon is part of the ABV network. For more information or to advertise on the show, please head over to abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.